All right, my friends. We just pressed the Let's Go Live button back over here on our side of the interwebs, and so let's wait for those tubes to get out there and connect themselves. A lot of extra Michael Cohen in the tubes these days, so you know what that can do to the inside of a tube. Not good. But it looks like they are connecting. That's tremendous news, my friends. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Costello. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and today we are talking about the great Michael Cohen collapse that we're going to go through in real time today, as close as real time as we can get. Of course, we've got the X scripts coming up from our friend Inner City Press, Matthew Russell Lee, reporting. And what we're going to do is go through all the Cohen testimony today. He was back on the stand for cross-examination. Defense attorney Todd Blanche was out there. And so we're going to jump right into it as soon as we get started. But not a good day. So he admits that he's lying. He had lied under oath. He's not saying I'm lying now, but I've lied many times under oath. And he is also asked about that very specific phone call that was supposed to be that smoking gun, this big, whoa, he's got this recording of Trump and his phone calls. And then he made this phone call to Keith Schiller, and that was when he was telling them about all this. And turns out it was about some 14-year-old kid who was text messaging or harassing Michael Cohen or something. We'll see what's inside of it. But we're going to check out the full X script. There's also some talk about extortion. Cohen was agreeing that there was some sort of extortion of Mr. Trump. We'll see if that's from Michael Cohen or from the McDougal people or from Keith Daniels. We don't know. So we'll go into all that, but the extortion word got thrown around. And then Donald Trump also spoke. So we'll listen to him. Full day of cross-examination from Michael Cohen. He was up on the stand all day. The court ended a little bit early today, and then we're not in session tomorrow because Trump will be attending Barron's graduation, which will be a nice family affair. Glad that he's able to do that. So we'll go through this. Now, they're not coming back until Monday, and so that means the jury is going to have the ability to sit with this all weekend long. We're happy about that. So we'll talk about the testimony, make sure we dive into that. Then we'll see some reaction to today. First of all, CNN is confirming, even Anderson Cooper, this is a wild clip. He walks us through everything he observed today, and he's like, seems like Michael Cohen might have lied again. We're like, no kidding, Andy. Well done. You're finally coming around. You got it. That's what happens when you put a liar on the stand. So we'll see what he says. Several clips from there. Eli Honig's like, yeah, Michael Cohen got his legs cut out from under him. And then other people are saying, you know, even if it's not illegal to record someone, even if it's a one-party consent state, it's still a pretty unethical thing to do. And it's kind of a dirtbag thing to do. So CNN's turning on Michael Cohen because he's just so bad. And yesterday, we had a breakdown of Robert Costello, who was testifying in front of Congress and really just dropped the hammer on Cohen's like, dude's a liar. I know because I was his lawyer, and I've got dozens of emails, hundreds maybe, that I can show you. And what he's going to tell us here is that many of those emails were never considered by the Bragg prosecutors. So we know that there's a concept in American law called exculpatory evidence. If the government has evidence that tends to exonerate the defendant, well, they got to give it to the defense so the defense can know about it. Well, it turns out Robert Costello had like a whole dossier. He's like, Michael Cohen's a liar. Can you please look at this, Mr. Bragg? He's like, irrelevant. They didn't show it to the grand jurors. And so he's going to come out and explain what a whole scam this is. Michael Cohen is the worst witness ever. And he's their final witness, and he's their star witness. So it's just shocking. But we got two segments to get to. We're glad that you are here and with us today. This morning, we did not have a members only stream, but I was at a mastermind event this morning. And so I posted an update from there. And so if you want to see what I was up to this morning and get a little bit of a walk and talk action, we were walking around this beautiful new hotel down in Phoenix. And so we were over there, and it was a great update and some great comments over there. And so if you want to join us when we do that type of stuff, watchingthewatchers.locals.com is where you can come and join our members only community, get some good content, support our work. We'd love to see you inside. We've got robertgovea.com, PDF, show notes, calendar, merch store, all the things are there. And of course, watcherlodge.com, which is our sovereignty and our self-development community. There's a lot of problems in this world. We're trying to figure out what to do with this energy. and how to improve our lives, our families, our communities. We also have our meetup taking place June 29th, 2024. If you want to come join us, it's going to be in Las Vegas at Trump Hotel. And it's going to be great because the 29th is going to be 2 days after the first debate. And it's going to be fun. So we'll be live streaming from Trump Tower, Trump Hotel in Vegas, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So come join us. RSVP if you're absolutely sure you're coming. Watcherlodge.com is where you can join us. All right. And now, without any further ado, let's get right into it. I don't want to belabor the point. It's time to get to the testimony. Michael Cohen back on the stand, day 2, cross-examined by Todd Blanche, Trump's defense attorney. And many people are saying this is not Michael Cohen's finest day. Some people saying he collapsed. His legs have been cut out from under him. This testimony was devastating to the Bragg case because we know he's a liar and he's got no credibility at all. But they want to get Trump so badly, they really had no other choice other than to find somebody who will make up some crimes since Trump doesn't commit them. So we'll go into the testimony, hear from Trump, and pay close attention to this extortion word that has come out. We'll see where that comes into fray here. But courtesy of our friend Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press Reporting, we are there inside the courtroom. And of course, you know where to follow him. He is on Inner City Press on X, and you can follow along on X. He has got Amazon books, Venmo, and other ways you can support him, bringing us this excellent reporting. He tells us, court is bustling. Trump is inside the courtroom here, blue suit, red tie, power tie. He's talking to Todd Blanche on his right. Pool photos are taken, so we get some new photographs, which they were banned for a while. I don't know if that's new or not. But there's a little bit of a kerfuffle. All the photographers like vultures coming in. Mr. President. They leave. It's time to begin. Door burst open. All rise. Judge walks in. Judge Mercon. Clerk of the court says, this is the time set for the people of the state of New York versus Donald J. Trump. Appearances, please. Both parties announce. Good morning, Your Honor. Here on behalf of the government. Good morning, Your Honor. Here on behalf of President Trump. Judge says, all right, good morning, everybody. Before we begin, do we have any updates on scheduling that we need to attend to? Todd Blanche, Trump's defense attorney. Your Honor, we actually do, yeah. But may we approach and have this conversation up there? And so there's a sidebar. They go up to the bench. And we don't know if this is on the record or off the record, but we do know that our court reporters, people like Matthew Russell Lee, cannot report on it because they can't hear it. Don't know if it'll make the transcript or not, but Beauvais for Trump's defense goes up. Susan Nicholas remains back at the defense table. Beauvais' empty seat is away from Trump. Susan Nicholas and Trump are not talking. They're up, and Emile Beauvais are up at the bench. Now, Inner City Press says, golly, this is a long sidebar. All right, we are waiting for something to get started this morning. They're still up there. Trump's lawyer, Emile Beauvais, appearing to check his calendar. They're looking through their phones, scheduling dates. Judge Mercon stands up. He's crossing his arm. He's like, well, what about your Thursdays? How about your Thursday? Well, how come, Mom, can you move that? No, I can't really move that, Your Honor. It's my mother-in-law. I mean, she'll kill me if I move it. He's like, all right, your mother-in-law. Okay, I get that. All right, how about you? So they're moving stuff for him. So what are they doing? Nobody really knows. Inner City Press says during this ever longer sidebar, they're still up there like, there's nothing to do. He's like looking around the courtroom. And he says there's a water bottle on the witness stand. Looks like it's been there for a while. Maybe it was pre-positioned for Michael Cohen in case he gets parched. Or maybe it was left there since Tuesday. No one knows. But the sidebar's finally over. Good Lord. Defense lawyers now return to the defense table, huddled around Trump. Judge Mercon says, to the press and everybody else in the courtroom, he's like, hello. He says, okay, I apologize that took so long. Gosh, no explanations given. And they say, we're ready to begin. Bring in the witness. Okay, fine. Hopefully you got it all figured out. Michael Cohen comes in. Reminder, Mr. Cohen, says the judge, you are still under oath. He's like, I don't care. What are you talking about? What's an oath? An oath of what? Like tell the truth? I don't even know what you're talking about, but whatever, I'm here. Judge says, please get the jury. Cohen takes out a new bottle of water and he put the other on the floor. So Cohen takes the first bottle. He's like, what is this? Then he takes that out and then he pulls his other one out. He's like, oh, perfect. I'll put that right there in case he gets parched. So the judge says, all right, jurors, sorry to keep you waiting out there. We had to take care of some business this morning, but our schedule's a little bit broken up here. So we have to change some things around. So make some notes of this, please. Says we may need to work next Wednesday if you can make it. And jurors were nodding. Okay, sounds good. coming back on Wednesday, even though we've had Wednesdays off this entire time. Don't know what that's about, but that's the story. Judge says, Mr. Blanche, over to you. Trump's defense attorney, Todd Blanche, stands up. Looking great, sharp today. He turns over to Michael Cohen, who's back on the stand. He says, Mr. Cohen, I want to start today with this question. Can you tell me who is Detective Jeremy Rosenberg? Cohen says, well, he works in the DA's office with Alvin Bragg. He says, well, I want you to look at this document, Mr. Cohen. You recognize these? He says, yeah. You'd agree these are your texts with Detective Rosenberg, wouldn't you? He says, yeah. Prosecutor jumps up. May we approach, Your Honor, getting into these text messages? They walk up. Another sidebar with the judge. They're having another private conversation. Trump's defense says, all right, we can take that down. Let's go ahead and put up a redacted version of 845. Okay, they something on the screen. We don't want the phone numbers out there or something, so take it down. Okay, fine, we'll redact it. All right, put up redacted 845. Are these your text messages? The judge says, only for his private viewing. Finally, Mr. Cohen, are these the texts between you and Detective Rosenberg, who works for the DA? Yeah, they are. Are they accurate? Yeah, they look to be accurate. Your Honor, we introduce Exhibit B45, defense exhibit. Objection, Your Honor, we object. Judge says, sidebar, come on up here. Prosecutor comes up, starts whining about this. Your Honor, this is a part of the government's investigation, and this is sources and methods, and we can't have this possibly disclosed to everybody, and so we don't want this coming into evidence because it's a work product doctrine and all this. Judge says, okay, but your objection is sustained. That exhibit is not coming in. Please proceed. Perfect. Trump gets more evidence not admitted. Great. Todd Blanche says, oh, great. Thanks, Judge. So they were around these text messages. The documents are not coming in. He says they were around when you testified to the grand jury. Is that right, Mr. Cohen? You know about these texts? He says, yeah. And you remember, Mr. Cohen, when the fact that President Trump had been indicted was leaked to the press. Objection. Your Honor, we object to the word leak. We didn't leak anything. He says, rephrase. Okay, they say, fine. Okay, we'll rephrase it. You remember when the fact that President Trump had been indicted was made public through non-official means, don't you? Thanks. So you knew that the public, and you learned about this. Did Detective Rosenberg tell you that, quote, it's done? Did the detective tell you it's, quote, done? It's done? Cohen says, well, the detective pointed me to a newspaper article. He sent me to an article and I read it. So what? Well, isn't it true, Michael, that he wrote you? He said, I know you heard. Nice heads up, huh? Telling the New York Times before you. Do you remember when the detective said that to you? Saying, really, right, nice that you got a heads up and nobody knew about this. They told the New York Times before you. In other words, the indictment got leaked before you even knew about it. Cohen, all of a sudden, I don't remember. And we saw this last time when he was on the stand. Suddenly he remembers everything. He's like, oh, no, I know exactly what Trump told me, exactly here. But when the defense asks him a question, all of a sudden his brain evaporates. Now, you went on CNN, didn't you, Michael? And you said this was like a David versus Goliath situation. Didn't you say that? Yeah. And didn't the detective Rosenberg congratulate you for your CNN appearance where you said you had Goliath on his back? You remember that? Objection, sustained. Trump's defense says, Your Honor, sustained. What? May we approach on this? He says, no, continue. Okay. All right. So I guess we can't talk about that either. So Todd Blanche moves on. He says, all right, Mr. Cohen, you're a podcaster, aren't you? He's like, yeah, great one. And you have a podcast called Mea Culpa? He says, yeah. And what does that mean? He says, well, it's my initials, MC, my fault. Okay. He says, well, I want to play a clip of this. And so they get this clip played. And in it, Michael Cohen is there congratulating Alvin Bragg. Cohen says, Bragg's great. He's done a great job. He won this election. I've spent countless hours with Bragg. I spent countless hours with him, says Michael Cohen. He's on his podcast, right? Talking this big game. I work with him. Trump got indicted. I gave him briefings and all this thing. So you said you met Alvin Bragg, didn't you? He says, yeah, I said that. But you never met Alvin Bragg, right? Correct. Okay, cool. All right, so we want to play that for the jury now. Now, I have this other clip of your next podcast, and this is a government defense exhibit B25 for you. I want you to see if you recognize this. They play this clip for Cohen. He puts on the headphones. It's Michael Cohen talking. He's like, I love the sound of my own voice. This is great. I'm amazing. Then they play it for the jury. What is Cohen saying when we all hear it? Cohen's out there saying, I want to see Donald Trump in jail, just like his shirt that he wears. Mr. Cohen, says the defense, you said your work played a large role in the indictment of President Trump, didn't you? That's correct. And you responded to this truth by President Trump. So he said this and you responded to that truth. He says, well, I'm not on Truth Social. I think the point being that he responded on his podcast. Now, Mr. Cohen, says the defense, on April 21st, 2024, not long ago, isn't it true that you said that you were mentally excited about this trial beginning? Cohen says, yeah. And you knew that a Manhattan paralegal from Bragg's office was monitoring your social media, and you still tweeted that you're mentally excited about this? He says, yeah, I did. I don't care. Now, it's also true, Michael, that you testified 7 times to Congress. Do you agree with that? He says, yeah, I think give or take. And when you were in front of Congress, you took the same oath there that you took here in this trial. Would you agree? He says, yes. And in fact, beyond testifying in Congress 7 times, you've also met with federal agents 17 times. Is that true? I have. But in some of those instances, for example, in the 2017 testimony that you provided to the U.S. House of Representatives, you'd agree with me that you lied during your testimony there? He says that's correct. And you lied under oath. Is that correct? Yes. And you also lied to the Office of the Special Counsel, didn't you? I did. And you lied to the FBI agents who were also doing the investigation. Is that true? I did. And Mr. Cohen, you took 2 guilty pleas, didn't you? For crimes? I did. And those 2 guilty pleas, those were combined before a judge called Judge Pauly, right? Yeah. And those were actually combined before you got ultimately sentenced and before you had to serve a penalty. Is that true? That's correct. And you pled to other crimes too. Yes, I did. And when you were going through this process, Mr. Cohen, it's true that you knew that your business partner, Gene Friedman, was cooperating with the government, right? Well, not then, I didn't know. And he was not my business partner, okay? He just leased my taxi medallions, and so I didn't know much about anything. I learned all that after the fact. Okay, but in your guilty plea, Michael, that you took on August 21st, 2018, you would agree in the statement of facts as to what you did that he is taxi operator 2. You'd agree with me that that's him, Gene Friedman, right? He says yes. Now, Michael, you explained on your direct exam, you told the jurors that you say that you were forced to plead guilty. Remember that? He says, I was. But when Judge Pauly asked you a question, he's talking about the plea process, when you go in and you take a change of plea to change your plea from not guilty to guilty, the judge asks you a whole bunch of stuff like that. Are you on drugs or alcohol? Can you read and write English? Anybody force you, threaten you, coerce you to take this plea? No. Are you doing this of your own free will and volition? Are you satisfied with the services of your attorney? Yes, I am. It's great. Everything's great. Are you sure? Because there's nothing we can do after this fact. You cannot appeal this. You cannot wake up tomorrow and are you absolutely sure? Yes, Your Honor. For the love of God, let me plead guilty, please, for the crying out loud. Okay, fine. We'll do it. So you said that you were forced here after, even though the judge asked you and went through it, we read it, you lied to him, right? So you were forced, but when he asked you, were you forced? You told him no. I did that because that was not true. Well, what's the difference? You were forced to plead guilty, but he said, did anybody force you? He says, no, I said no. So that was not true. So I did not lie. He says, well, you didn't. Well, what's the difference then? It sounds like this is weird semantics, Michael. Are you trying to redefine words? He says, well, it's just different terminology, and so I interpreted it differently, so I didn't lie to anybody. Okay, see if the jury likes that. Now, you met with court staff, didn't you, Michael, for the pre-sentencing report? You don't just go in and like fill out a sticky note and plead guilty. It's kind of a big process. Hey, Cohen, he says, yeah, I met with pre-sentencing. And the pretrial services representatives was a little bit concerned that you were not accepting responsibility, right? Like you pled guilty, but they said you didn't want to accept responsibility. Is that right? Correct. And you've said the prosecution against you was the most corrupt in 100 years. Didn't you say that? Objection, says the government. They're like, ha! And by the way, Michael Cohen was the victim, I think, of a corrupt DOJ and a corrupt prosecution. Absolutely 100%. They were going after Trump, and they were going through him to get to Trump. So in some ways, I think he is the victim of an active DOJ. Now, he flipped because they castigated him. We're going to come after your family. We're coming after your wife. We've already raided everything. I'm not saying he's not a criminal, but they're using that criminality to go after Trump, and they're going through him. And if he was not connected to Trump, I'm sure there would be no interest in him. He's just another corrupt Democrat, operative in New York. And there's a lot of those people. So, but because he's close to Trump, they got to take him out. So they flipped him. So all this, I think, is right. He's right. Are you sure this is the most corrupt prosecution in 100 years? Yeah, absolutely true. True statement from Michael Cohen. Probably the only one. Objection. Sidebar. So are you saying, Michael Cohen, once they go back up, they talk to the judge. So are you coming back? You're saying Judge Pauly is or was corrupt? The judge was corrupt? Cohen says, yeah, the judge. Okay, not the DOJ? Okay. Now, the judge is dead, right? He's deceased. And I was asking this question yesterday. I'm like, ooh, what's Judge Pauly going to say once he knows that Cohen lied to him? Ooh, well, he's dead, unfortunately. Rest in peace. Yeah, he is. He's dead. And you've called the Southern District of New York prosecutors effing animals, right? Which is true. He's right about that. Again, Cohen's right. They flipped him. So now all of these statements he can't say anymore. I have. And they got him to plead guilty. He served time, and they let his wife and kids go because now he pled that candidate one, right? Remember, in his statement of facts, and of course that's Donald Trump. So they were just dominoing their way into Trump. But before that, before he buckled, he's like, yeah, these people are nuts, because they are. Trump's attorney, and he goes, how come that changed, Michael? Mr. Cohen, last October 24, 2023, in 60 Center Street, you said that was the Tish case where Tish took her shoes off and stunk up the whole courtroom, and Areola Engeron had tassels on or whatever he was doing. But you said you lied to Judge Pauly. You admitted that. Alina Abba was saying, did you lie there or are you lying here? He said, I lied there. Yes, you admitted. You lied to him, didn't you? Yes, I did. Now, going back to 2019, Mr. Cohen, you testified to Congress again, right? Yeah. And when you went in there, you were put under oath again, right? Yes. Now, on your little podcast called Mea Culpa, the cover art, is that your oath that you took? He says yes. So you believe in oaths so much that you put it on your podcast, on your cover sheet, your little logo there. It's your oath, huh? Now, when you took your guilty plea, Mr. Cohen, isn't it true that you got some credit for accepting responsibility? So the judge actually gave you a lighter sentence because you told him, I'm guilty. Your Honor, I did a bad thing. I accept responsibility. Please show me some leniency. Did you get a benefit from that, Mr. Cohen? He says, well, I don't know how Judge Pauly made his decision, so I don't know if I got an acceptance of responsibility credit, even though I lied. I don't know. In Oatsville, I met people with longer tax issues who got a year and a day. And he looks over at the jury. I got a much worse deal. And of course, the reason for that is because my guess is they had a lot more criminality that they could have hit Cohen with. They said, listen, brother, You either work with us, and this happens all the time. This is happening right now. There's some prosecutor talking to somebody right now, some defendant saying, look, you give us exactly what we want, or you go to prison for 20 years. If you give us what we want, we'll give you a smoking deal. You still got to do some time. That's what they always say. Still got to do some time. Got to go 1 year. We'll give you, get out early. We'll give you 3 years. You'll get out in 1. You'll do, shorter time, whatever. Happening all the time. And they're giving him that deal in lieu of bringing another 25 charges, maybe for tax crimes or whatever else they could have hit him with. So he takes the deal. Happens all the time. Mr. Cohen, says the defense, does the outcome of this trial affect you personally? He says, yes, it does. Huh, interesting. Now, the medallions that you were talking about for your taxis, whose name are those in? Well, some of those are in my wife's name. I also have 16 corporations, he says. And just FYI, the A through Fs are for individuals. If you're looking at a chart, he says, okay, thanks. Cohen says, you're welcome. Now, you said you used the HELOC loan so that your wife couldn't know that you were trying to take out a loan to pay Stormy Daniels. That's what you testified. Is that right? Yeah, that's correct. Now, what did you tell your wife about the HELOC? What did you tell her anything about it? Objection. May we approach? Sidebar, maybe talking about marital privilege, spousal privilege. You can't talk about the inner operations of a marriage. Sustained, says the judge. I like your argument. They go back. Here you go, of course. Okay. Mr. Cohen, don't talk about any communications with your wife because it's all privileged. Do you know if she found out about your HELOC thing? Do you know? No, I don't know. Now, you said the HELOC was to conceal all of this from your wife, right? So you're married. You're going to do all this and even hide it from your wife? Correct. And then 2 days after Mr. Avenatti's statement, when he published what he said, isn't it true, Michael, that you deleted all of your text message? Cohen says, oh, I don't know that. I don't know if I did that. No. Did you tell people to delete your communications with them? He says, maybe I did. I don't know. Did you tell other people to delete your communications? So like he says, hey, I'm deleting my end. You delete yours. He says, I think I probably have. Okay, who? Who did you tell to delete your messages? He says, I don't know. Cohen says, like David Pecker, probably. And Darlene Stacks, did you also tell a person named Darlene to delete her messages? Says Mr. Cohen, so it's not just one person. You tell multiple people to delete. He says, yeah. Now, you've also spoken, Mr. Cohen, about seeking a pardon from President Trump. You remember that? No, I don't remember. You said it in a deposition. Do you remember that? I don't. Wow, you don't remember a deposition. That's a pretty important thing. Well, I want to show you B80, defense exhibit. You said, Mr. Cohen, that you never asked for and would never accept a pardon from President Trump. You said you never asked for and would never accept a pardon for Trump, right? But you meant you asked your lawyers to ask, right? So you said, I never asked for and never accepted a pardon, but you were being clever. Your lawyers asked, didn't you? So you didn't ask, but your lawyers did for you. Isn't that clever? So how come you did that? He says, well, I just wanted the nightmare to be over, okay? I wanted to find out if they would be doing pre-pardons, and so my lawyers did do it. So you, Mr. Cohen, let's be clear, you had your lawyer, Mr. Costello, reach out to Mr. Giuliani to explore it, didn't you? Well, Mr. Costello was never my lawyer, but you had him reach out for you, didn't you? And you said this lie in a written statement, didn't you? Cohen says, it was confusing. I didn't know. Now, this terrible judge breaks this up right now. He says, let's break. Okay, we're just about to crack this case right open. Cohen is now admitting that his fib yesterday, his lie, is now not true. Cohen, when he testified on Tuesday, he said that Mr. Costello and Mr. Giuliani were approaching him and dangling this pardon over his head. Shut your mouth, Michael, and we'll pardon you, or else. No, not true at all. Turns out Cohen was reaching out to Costello. Hey, you think I'll get a pardon for this? So you had him reach out for you. You directed your lawyer to go seek a pardon. And now, just like Costello said, he needed leverage. So now he's trying to say, oh, crap, the DOJ's got me big time. And so I need to give them something. Now he's going to say Trump pressured him by dangling a pardon. The exact opposite of his story. So you had Mr. Costello reach out. And he says, well, Mr. Costello was never my lawyer, which is obviously not true because he signed a waiver of attorney-client privilege. So he was impliedly acknowledging that there was at least that. Now, you said this lie in a written statement, didn't you? He says, it was confusing. I don't know what I was signing. Judge says, ugh, this is terrible. Let's take a break. Let's stop this momentum here. Give the prosecutor to get their case together. So they take a break. The judge drains the energy out of the room. Perfect timing. Well done. They're back. Prosecutors had some time to get out of their dizzy spell from what they're witnessing here. They come back. They say, Your Honor, we want a curative instruction about when the indictment was unsealed because this is confusing to the jurors and they're confused. And he says, Todd Blanche, well, I can clean that up on cross, Your Honor. I can just get him to explain that. He says, okay, you can try, but if not, we'll have a curative instruction. And says, be aware, the jurors cannot work next Wednesday. So we'll just be back Monday, Tuesday for final witnesses and maybe summation arguments on Tuesday. And then we won't be back on Wednesday. So they want a curative instruction about timings. They say, I'll get that into the record. Otherwise, we'll get the instruction. Okay. Bring in the jury. Jury comes back in. Michael Cohen's back on the stand. Todd Blanche continues. All right, Mr. Cohen, you were meeting with the Office of Special Counsel, Robert Mueller, who is investigating Trump, right? Yeah, I was. But when you met there, the Southern District of New York prosecutors were also there, weren't they? So you met with the special counsel, who is supposed to be a special counsel, independent, separate from the DOJ. But when you met with them, the Southern District was also there. So other actual DOJ attorneys were there. So there's nothing separate at all. So you met with them all at the same time, didn't you? Yeah, I did. Correct. And then were you where at Otisville? When you were at Otisville, Mr. Cohen, you also started meeting with the Manhattan prosecutors, right? Yes. And you took guilty pleas. And you've been on supervised release since that time. Is that right? Yes. And in fact, you've tried to get your supervised release term reduced a couple times, haven't you? Yes, I have. 3 times, in fact. You sure it's not 4? He says, maybe. Now, last October, Mr. Cohen, you said that you had cooperated, right? I did cooperate. You said you refused a 5K. I did. That was false, though, right? You refused 5K? Well, I wouldn't accept one. And so that was false. I wouldn't accept one. And Michael, when you were in Congress, you got asked a question about your desire to work in the White House. And that question was based on your December sentencing submission, wasn't it? Objection sustained. And when you were going to go over there at the White House, you were going to work under Don McGahn. Is that true? No, not Don. Do you know Spencer Zwick, Mr. Cohen? Yes, I do. He's a fundraiser for Mitt Romney. Now, he told you when you were talking to him, he said something like chief of staff, right? He said, yeah, we'll get you to be chief of staff. He's a fundraiser for Romney. And you said that would be nice to him, didn't you, if he made you the chief of staff? Yeah, I did. I would be nice. And Mr. Cohen, did you tell Kedar Massenberg that you wanted a job in the White House? Maybe. Did you tell Keith Davidson? Did you tell him that you wanted to be and that you might be the attorney general? Did you say that to him? He says, yeah, I did. So what? You told your daughter that you wanted to be special counsel to the president, right? But Mr. Priebus from the RNC didn't like that title. Cohen says, no, I wanted to be the personal attorney, not special counsel. Now, was your daughter mad that Gary Cohn got a White House role and you didn't get one? Yeah, she was. My daughter was mad. And Mr. Cohen, you were friends with Pastor Darrell Scott all the way back to 2011, right? And there was talk about President Trump running in 2012. Is that true? I don't remember. That was long ago. And then on National Prayer Day, did you express frustration at not being invited to the prayer day? Mr. Cohen, you said you applied for early termination of your probation, right? Yeah. Did your most recent application for early termination include fake cases that we've covered here? Because he used Google Bard to create these fake cases that any person could look at and say, those look fake. Prosecutor, objection! Overruled, says the judge. You can ask about that. Michael Cohen says, well, yeah, I used Google Bard, which is an AI, and I searched for early termination. And we had the 8th Circuit results, but they were just phantom results. And so the substance was fine, but the citations were wrong. You mean what the citations were wrong as though, like, they didn't exist, right? They were just completely made up. He says, yeah, they weren't real. Now, Mr. Cohen, I want to go back to this October 24th, 2016 phone call to Keith Schiller. This is the big phone call. Cohen's calling Schiller, and they're now, according to Cohen, coordinating the Stormy case. This is the moment. So when you called him, this is not that long ago, Mr. Cohen, you remember everything else. When you called Keith Schiller, who worked with Trump, did he hand his phone to President Trump? Or did he put you on the speakerphone? Which one? I don't remember. And you didn't talk about this call when you testified to the grand jury, did you? I don't recall. But in March 2023, when you were talking to Manhattan, you didn't mention this case, did you? No, they refreshed my memory at that time. Your Honor, may we approach? During a sidebar, Cohen is handed another cup of liquid, presumably water, but we don't know. Trump's attorney says, do you remember, Mr. Cohen, that you were getting harassing calls from October 2016 in October 2016? Remember that? No. On October 24th at 7 p.m., you don't remember that they forgot to block their phone number when they called you? No. Well, if the number ended in 0594, you texted that number. And you said that you'd given the number to Secret Service. Do you remember that? Oh, yes, I do. I did. I did remember that. I found out that they were 14 years old. Punk kids. Prank callers. Todd Blanche says, okay. So you do remember now all of a sudden. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. So you now know the details. They're 14. You said you just didn't remember, but now we know. Okay. So then at 7:48 p.m., isn't it true, Mr. Cohen, that you texted Keith Schiller about the 14-year-old? He says, yes, I did. They showed the document on the screen, 10/24/2016 voicemail, and a call, 801-802. It's right there on the screen. Keith Schiller's screenshot. Now, Mr. Cohen, you claimed that this was a phone call about Stormy Daniels, right? Now, I want to show you this, and we're going to show this to the jury, but I don't want to show this to the courtroom. Now, you claim this call was about Stormy Daniels, right? Yes, sir, it was. So I want to show this to the jury, but not the courtroom. They do that. There's phone numbers on it. Todd says, okay, fine, there's no number. Don't show it to the courtroom then. Nobody can see it. You see that, Mr. Cohen? Yeah. You recognize it? Yeah. So you would agree with me. At 8:14 p.m., you texted Keith Schiller the number that had been harassing you. You said, here they are again. These punk kids keep calling me. Yes, I did. Oh, so you lied about this then. You said you don't remember the harassing phone calls. Now you claim that in the 1 minute and 36-second call, you spoke about the harasser and Stormy Daniels? Huh. Well, it could have been both calls. It could have been. That's not what you said on Tuesday. You said this call was only about Stormy Daniels. Now we know it's a 1 minute and 36 phone call, and you talked about both things, about this harassing 14-year-old and Stormy in a minute? I could have. Michael, you are lying. You are lying right now. Michael Cohen he sounds a little bit perturbed. He says, well, based on the records, I think I spoke about both. We're not asking about your belief, Michael. This jury doesn't want to hear about what you think happened. Objection. Argumentative. Sustained. The People's Chart omitted your texts with Keith Schiller. They put a chart up on the screen here. They showed all this text message, but they didn't put up the text messages that we just showed you. And so you here now are telling me, knowing all of this, that you claim you were telling the truth on Tuesday. He says, well, I thought I was based on the documents. So you testified off the documents the people gave you and not your own memory? Huh. Judge calls another break. Of course. Perfect time. So Cohen's getting skewered on there. Oh, so you're just like a little parrot. Whatever they put up on the screen, you just say. Now, when we show you the other side, you go, I have no explanation for that. Why? So you're just reading the script. You can't remember anything. The judge is like, crap, cut it, break. Anyone have to pee? Perfect. I do. Let's go. So they take their break. Again, cutting off the energy. Cohen's getting obliterated. You can feel it. He says, well, it could have been. Oh, could have been? Oh, it's brutal. Well, I don't know. So that's when he said he called and talked to Keith about Stormy Daniels. No, he was talking about some punk kid harassing him. Brutal. It could have been both calls in a minute and 30 seconds, really. And when the people put up all the texts on the screen, they omitted those texts, and you didn't mention it because you're a liar, aren't you? We come back. They're back from their break. Trump's attorney, Todd Blanche. Hey, thanks, Judge, for killing the momentum again. It's like in the middle of a sporting event. If one side is just crushing the other side, what does the other side do? They call a timeout. The judge just did it for them. We're back. Trump's attorney, he's done it twice this morning. Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, we have a draft curative instruction on the timing of the unsealing of the indictment. But it was my intention to rehabilitate the question right now out of the box. Judge says, well, let me see it. Says, well, prosecutors, no, Your Honor, this is something that should be cleaned up, not something that he should clean up. The court should do it. Defense says, Your Honor, the text made clear that the indictment was leaked. The detective said that they told the New York Times before they told you. So they're trying to talk about when the indictment was unsealed. The government wants it to be the official unsealing. Todd Blanche wants to say we knew about it way before that because the New York Times knew about it. So the prosecution wants them to come out and say, well, it was officially unsealed on this date. So when the jury's reconstructing the timeline, it'll look like Cohen didn't have any forewarning about this, which I don't think he did. So Merchan says, I'm also informed that one of the jurors say they have an appointment next Thursday at 1:30. I'd like to take it up with the juror at the break in the roving room, one lawyer for each side. And so get the witness. We'll see if they can skip that or not. Cohen retakes the stand, bring him back in. Jury comes in, they enter. Todd Blanche for the defense says, Mr. Cohen, I want to be very clear about this. You do not have any evidence that anyone at the Manhattan DA's office leaked this indictment, do you? I don't. But you know that this was unsealed on March 30th, right? Yes. Please approach. They're back up at the bench. They come back. And when you went on TV, Mr. Cohen, the knowledge of the indictment was public, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Todd says, I want to put up the redacted exhibit so the jurors can see this. One of which says, I'm 14. Little kid, I'm 14. How's this work? Cohen's, having a meltdown over it. Puts it up on the screen. Mr. Cohen, in 2011, you arranged for an article about how well Mr. Trump was polling, didn't you? Yes. And you also arranged an article about yourself, didn't you? Yes. And how did you do this? He said, well, I know reporters and I pitch them when I go and take these stories. So you have like a Rolodex of reporters, like a contact list? He says, yeah. Now, you never responded to these projects without checking with President Trump, did you? Well, once I had his answer, if he said yes, I might reuse that answer. Michael, in May 2011, Mr. Trump decided not to run for president. Right? Yeah. And later that year, you worked with Keith Davidson to get the Dirty taken down, another online article factory. Haven't you told law enforcement that Mr. Trump's first statement was that his family would not like the Stormy Daniels story on this Dirty very much, right? So you said to law enforcement, they're having that recorded down in their interview notes, that Trump doesn't want his family hearing about Stormy. So it's not about the election at all. You told law enforcement that. Yes. And it's also true that you recorded reporters a lot. You'd agree, Mr. Cohen? He says, I don't know, probably 40 times or so. When did you stop recording reporters? He says, after the 2016 election, I'd say. And you didn't record in 2017 or 2018? Didn't record anyone? He says, well, I don't know. I'd have to check. Well, we'll check together. Let's do it together, Mr. Cohen. Glad you're here. Did you share a recording with Miss Haberman of another person? I don't know. Did you sometimes record people without telling them? He says, well, it's not illegal in New York, so I'm allowed to do that. He says, that's not what I asked. I said, look at this list. Who else did you record? Mr. Cohen. He says, oh gosh, Cohen, he's going through the list. Jeff Zucker recorded him. Mr. Trump recorded him. That reporter recorded him. You know it's unethical for a lawyer to record his client, right? He says, well, there is the crime fraud exception, which is wild, when the lawyer is the one helping you allegedly commit the crime. He's like, well, there's a crime fraud exception I can record. I'm the criminal. Wow. Okay. So you say it's a crime, and there's the crime fraud exception applies to a conversation that you said you made only so you could give it to Mr. Pecker to show Mr. Pecker that Trump was going to pay him. How is that a crime? He says, well, I don't know that that's a crime. I was just giving an example of how it could be a crime, but he's totally twisted up. So I guess there is no crime fraud exception. I was recording it to give it to Pecker, and that's not a crime. But I wanted to he's like all twisted up. So the doorman story, Mr. Cohen, as well. Mr. Trump did not want it getting out, even though that story was false, right? He says, yes, sir, exactly. And you didn't tell Trump about the liquidation clause in the contract, did you? I did not. You also testified about a June 16, 2016 phone call. You said on the stand, Mr. Cohen, that there was a call at 6:51 p.m. to President Trump through Keith Schiller. You said that call happened, but you also say you were receiving and making thousands of phone calls. So can you explain? He says, well, these were important calls. I've been taking calls and talking about them for 6 years. Now, do you have a specific recollection of this very special phone call since you've made so many of them? He says, well, based on the documents I've been shown, I have a memory, not based on my own memory. Oh, great. Now, that day, Michael, on June 16th, just before, you also called Chris Cuomo. Do you remember that before you called Keith Schiller? You said there was a call through Keith Schiller to Trump. You remember that phone call? He says, yes. And when you were recording President Trump, you say it stopped recording because you got and answered a call. Remember that testimony? He says, yeah, I did. I got a call from Capital One Bank. Do you remember what that call was about, Michael? No, I might have been about identity theft, something, maybe the second time, whatever. Judge takes the afternoon break. We fast forward. We're back. Reminder, support Inner City Press, Matthew Lee, Patreon, Substack, X, all the places. We're back. Mercan says, all right, we spoke with the alternate in the robing room, and have you discussed it with your colleagues? Prosecutor says, we have, Your Honor, and we should tell the jurors that they'll stop next Thursday at 1 if we've reached the point where we can release the alternate. Judge says, okay, they make their decision. Michael Cohen's back on the stand. Todd Blanche continues. Mr. Cohen, you'd agree with me that this NDA, waving it around, you'd agree it's a perfectly legal contract, isn't it? It is. And you'd say that Donald Trump never signed it, right? Right. He never signed the side letter either, did he? He did not. And in this contract, there's names like David Dennison and Peggy Peterson, aren't there? Yeah. Who made up those names, David Dennison and Peggy Peterson? Where'd those come from? He says, well, Keith Davidson knew someone named Dennison, and I don't know how Peggy was picked or something, but, well, okay. Well, you were a lawyer at the Trump organization, weren't you? Prosecutor. Your Honor, may we approach? Sidebar. They're back. Blanche continues. Mr. Cohen, you worked for The Apprentice for the Trump organization, didn't you? I think it was for Mr. Trump personally, but something like that. And you did legal work for Don Jr. too, didn't you? Yes. And you never had a retainer agreement with him? I did not. Now I want to put 202 in evidence, and this is an FEC statement. It's a statement from Michael Cohen. He says, just because something isn't true doesn't mean it can't cause you harm or damage. Do you remember when you told reporters this was true? I did. And you recorded yourself? Yes, I did. And the judge says, why don't we stop here? This is a good time to call it a day. Whew. So the jurors leave. Now, Trump's attorney, Emile Beauvais, says after Cohen is stepping down and finishing testimony, we've still got other business to attend to. Trump's attorney, Emile Beauvais, says, Your Honor, our expert, Mr. Smith, is going to come and testify about campaign contributions, or was, but now the arguments are different, and we have the draft jury instructions in, and we know now what you're going to tell the jurors their rules are, so we might have to change this. The judge says, well, I have not approved anything, so we don't actually know what the draft jury instructions are. He says, well, we'd address the definitions in your instructions. There's a case of Congressman Jim Moran. We don't want to tread on this court's instruction. This testimony could come in on Monday. And the government says, no way, Your Honor. 95% of what this expert would come in and testify would run afoul of Your Honor's rulings, and so they should not be allowed to testify. Judge says, yeah, I previously ruled that Smith may not testify as a lay fact witness, only generally on the FEC. I'll read both submissions this weekend, but until you hear differently, my ruling is not changed. So he can only come in on a very limited, very general basis, and he'll basically be useless because I'll have him neutered. Now, when it comes to scheduling, says the judge, I want to avoid big breaks. So maybe we can start early and work late, but we're not going to be here on Wednesday, unfortunately. So how much more of Mr. Cohen do we have? Todd Blanche says, Your Honor, I'll be done with cross before the morning break on Monday. Government says we'll have no more witnesses there. And that's going to be it. Trump's attorney says, Your Honor, we could finish witnesses on Monday, and that's not considering Mr. Trump. So as of the close of court today, it does not sound like Mr. Costello is on the list. So they'll be done and out on Monday. The judge says, okay, we'll have the pre-charge conference on Monday. Be ready for summations, closing arguments on Tuesday. We are now adjourned on the day. So that is from Inner City Press reporting. You know where to find him on Substack at Matthew Russell Lee, ICP, on Patreon, on Venmo, and all the places. We're very grateful for his reporting, but we're not done with Cohen yet. Cohen had a rough day on there, and this was another part of the exchange from Klasfeld. He said that there was even a conversation about extortion where Cohen was saying, as part of the other testimony, where they say, Cohen says the tape got cut off because a call record. He was in the middle of a call. A call came in when he was in the middle of the recording. You sure about that? Yeah, we're positive. Now, Blanche comes back in and asks whether Cohen ever expressed the view that Keith Davidson was extorting Trump. Objection, overruled. Cohen says, yeah, I once opined they were extorting Mr. Trump. And how long he's been working for them and all the things. No retainer agreement. So just a devastating day. Michael Cohen caught in so many traps that the jurors have got to just be totally disgusted by his never-ending lies. Our friend Charlie Kirk got this clip for us. Donald Trump came out, had a little bit to say after the day's testimony. We'll listen to some of this and then round it out.
Are you going to testify?
I called you.
Well, thank you very much. I think it was a very interesting day. It was a fascinating day. And it shows what a scam this whole thing is. And I think that seems to be the way almost everybody, even CNN and MSDNC, they have quotes over here that are drop the trial. Ellie Honig, this is a statement he just made, would not have even charged this case.
Yeah, nobody else did.
Even
Bragg didn't want to do
it against me. Nicholas Chambers, lawyer, Newsmax, there's no law against securing a non-disclosure agreement. There's none. Everybody has them. Every company has them. Out of concern for your marriage or protecting your family or any other reason, they're common. Non-disclosure, NDAs. The Manhattan show trial against President Trump is a gross abuse of power. It's a disgusting spectacle, he says. And it should terrify all of us, and that's true.
That is true. Absolutely true. The president explaining some of the major problems that everybody can see except apparently Alvin Bragg and the Democrats. So case continues to collapse. That's what happens when you bring out a liar. And a lot of people are starting to realize it, even people on CNN, which we'll talk about in the next segment. And so, my friends, I want to thank you for joining us as we covered this day's testimony. Of course, we're going to continue to cover it. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting a friend or family member to come on over here and join us when we cover these trials and more. We'd love to see them. We'd love for you to check out some links in our description below. We have watchingthewatchers.locals.com, our members-only community. You can join on YouTube as well. We do extra streams, usually in the mornings. We missed today because we were at an event, but we still posted updates. And so we love our membos. Come join us, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Now, we're not done yet, so don't move a muscle. We still have some reaction to attend to because, my gosh, even CNN agrees with us. CNN is confirming it. Michael Cohen's a liar. When CNN is grossed out by Cohen's testimony, you know it's pretty bad. We've got Anderson Cooper, Eli Honig. We'll talk about both those gentlemen and others on CNN, all saying this was a disaster. But what's bigger than this is Michael Cohen's former lawyer came out and said that he presented tons of exculpatory evidence to the government, to Alvin Bragg. They declined to bring it, and he tells the story about what he told the grand jurors. And so we've just got ethical problems, prosecutorial misconduct, vindictive, selective prosecution riddled throughout this case. And Cohen's own lawyer, who testified at the grand jury, confirms that for us. But this is the fun one from Anderson Cooper. He was there in testimony, and if you missed the day's testimony, we covered that in our prior segment with Michael Cohen and his full day on the bench, on the stand, being cross-examined. But here was what Cooper had to say about it, and even he's saying this was pretty bad.
Minutes of court today, right before the lunch break, it was incredible. I mean, it was, Ellie Honig on my program last night had talked about, on a cross-examination, lawyers want to kind of put the witness in a, build a box around the witness and then slam it shut. That's what Todd Blanche did to Michael Cohen. I mean, the story, the Todd Blanche just methodically went through this sequence of events of this phone conversation that Michael Cohen had testified to previously. That he had this consequential phone conversation with Donald Trump. It was a 90-second phone conversation. I believe it was October 24th was the date that it was testified to in around 8 p.m. or so at night. But Todd Blanche on his cross-examination today went kind of looked at the transcript of text messages that Michael Cohen had received and sent before that time frame. And there had been this series, I guess, of crank calls that Michael Cohen had received. It turned out to be from some 14-year-old. There was an exchange of messages between the alleged 14-year-old and Michael Cohen. And then Michael Cohen texts Keith Schiller at like 7:50 something or 7:48 p.m. Saying, hey, I've got some dope has been harassing me. I got the person's phone number. Who can I talk to? Keith Schiller texts him back saying, call me. And Michael Cohen calls Keith Schiller. This is the conversation that previously Michael Cohen had said he was calling to speak to Donald Trump to tell him that he was going ahead with the Stormy Daniel arrangement and that Trump approved it, which was a crucial to Michael Cohen's whole raison d'etre for being on the stand. He's the only person testifying to direct involvement by Donald Trump in the Stormy Daniels payments. But according to suddenly now Michael Cohen's refreshed memory, he now says, oh, it was a call about this 14-year-old making crank phone calls to me, but also about the moving ahead on Stormy Daniels. Todd Blanche was incredulous, his voice cracking, his voice raising up, moving around the courtroom, speaking, saying that what the jury doesn't want to hear, him guessing, it wants to hear facts. It was an extraordinary cross-examination by Todd Blanche, and Michael Cohen's. Throughout the day, Michael Cohen, when he found himself in a corner, he does have a pattern of suddenly not understanding the question that's being asked, or seemingly kind of, one could say buying time to try to figure out how he wants to answer, but he definitely suddenly starts to, have Todd Blanche repeat questions and say, I don't quite understand what you mean, I'm confused by the question, but this time, Michael Cohen was cornered in what appeared to be a lie, I think, to many in the room, and had to adjust suddenly his memory that he had just testified to on Tuesday. Ellie, you pointed out just right.
Weird. They put a liar on the stand and the dude lies again. Well done on Anderson Cooper explaining that. It was a nice little thing. He must be there. He was there watching the whole thing. He's like, oh gosh, it was a bloodbath. Cohen got obliterated. Cohen's dead. He's a dead man. It's like, oh gosh. Okay, so even if Anderson's like, godly, Todd Blanche obliterated Michael Cohen, it was bad. And he lied again. Even Todd Blanche caught him in another one. So you're telling me that Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo, Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels, they were all hanging their hat on this stupid phone call. Cohen's talking to Trump about rigging the election by buying the Stormy Daniels story. It's not about that at all. It's about some punk 14-year-old kid that Michael Cohen can't even handle. He's a fixer. He can't even deal with some text messages. And that was their whole basis of this case. They must feel so dumb and like total idiots, but I don't think they care. They know that this is just a political cudgel. That's all it is. They don't care if, they win or lose. This is just an effort to stop Trump. And it's not working for them, as you can see. So they really bit off more than they can chew here. Here is Eli Honig. He says, wow, this is just a disaster. Never seen anything so bad.
I don't think I've ever seen a star cooperating witness get his knees chopped out quite as clearly and dramatically as what just happened with Michael Cohen. I've certainly seen very effective cross-examinations of cooperating witnesses. I've seen aspects of their story cut into and called into question, but this goes to the heart of the allegation here, that phone call on October 24th, and it looks to the jury and to Anderson Cooper and Kara Scannell and Judge George Grasso, who are all in the courthouse, that was a devastating moment.
Brutal. So all of them are just saying it was bad. And there's one more from CNN, even on this roundtable. They're like, he's kind of an unethical piece of crap. Okay, all of these journalists are like, wait a minute. There are lawyers just walking around recording us? They're all having a panic attack. Like, wait a minute. There's recordings of us? Uh-oh.
Blanche says, by the way, did you tell people you were recording them? And Cohen said, no, sir. And let's just be very clear, that is highly uncool.
Highly uncool. Now,
And in
I
some
agree.
states illegal.
in some states
If it's a
illegal.
one-party or if it's a
Exactly.
two-party consent state.
So to put some meat
And
on that.
ethically questionable, even if it's not illegal.
What is happening at CNN right now? Okay, they're all abandoning the Cohen ship. They were parading him around and Stormy Daniels and this whole case for a long time, and now they're abandoning ship at the last minute. All right, come on, let's be real. What is that about? Now, here's Robert Costello, and looks like he's not going to be a witness so far in this trial because they're about to wrap their case up, and there's a good argument for that. I mean, you don't really need to present any evidence if they have no evidence. You don't have, it's their burden. You don't want to shift the burden on to yourself and introduce some new variables and complexities and maybe throw the jury off. So they might just call it a day, say they haven't proven their case, they haven't even met the check boxes that are required to substantiate the criminal charges. And so maybe they don't need Costello, but he is effective. We went through all of his House testimony yesterday. If you missed that, it is a must watch. And he is back now. He was on Fox and they were asking him some questions and they gave him 5 minutes to go again and explain what happened in the grand jury proceedings where he had a lot of this material and gave it to the prosecutors and they just flushed it down the toilet, don't care, because they have one track minds, which is to get Trump.
You said Cohen told you, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. Now, you testified before Alvin Bragg's grand jury. Did you tell them what you told Congress yesterday?
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because before I testified on a Monday before the grand jury, I gave Alvin Bragg's assistant DAs the courtesy of about an hour and a half Zoom conference where I told them all of the exculpatory material that I had that they were supposed to put before the grand jury. But when I appeared before the grand jury, they were asking me questions that, in my opinion, and I've been a federal prosecutor myself. I was deputy chief of the criminal division in the Southern District of New York. Those questions they were asking me were not going to elicit the exculpatory information that I had. So I began to expand upon my answers, and the DA's office was trying to shut me down, saying that I had finished my answer. And I told them that when I'm in the middle of answering a question, I'll decide when I finish my answer. And I asked them not to interrupt me again. But basically, they only put in a small, cherry-picked group of emails. I presented maybe 200 to 300 emails and text messages to them. I had them with me, luckily, in chronological order. They put 2 or 3 into evidence. I asked them, are you going to put the rest of them into evidence? And they said no. And I said, remember, there's a court reporter there. I said, why not? They said, there's a legal issue with them. I said, what's the legal issue? And he said, hearsay. Now, first of all, hearsay is admissible in the grand jury, so that's really not an objection. But I played along with him, and I said, hearsay? Well, then pay close attention to the next 2 sentences. I said, these documents were made in the regular course of business, and it was the regular course of business to make and maintain documents such as these at or about the dates indicated. Yeah. I said, now you know, and I know, but the grand jurors don't know. That makes these documents business records, and you know, and I know. But the grand jurors don't know that business records are an exception to the hearsay rule. So are you going to put the rest of the documents into evidence?
No.
And they indicated most likely no. So I simply said to the grand jurors, I said, you people should demand these documents. You should demand to see everything in chronological order so you get a real view of what Michael Cohen was like in those days at that moment in time. I said, and then ask yourself this question. Why are they trying to keep these documents from me? Well, after that, I left the grand jury. I have no idea whether they put the documents into evidence or what happened, but
I'm sure
subsequently Donald Trump was indicted. Yeah. And you've seen the fruits of that indictment in this trial, which is a trial about something that's not a crime.
And that's the rotten part of this grand jury process. We, historically, before we had an ultra weaponized justice system and criminal process, we used to have, a respect for the grand jury. We'd say they're citizens. They don't need to be harassed. They're going to be listening to honest prosecutors who have ethics. And we protect them. We keep them very secret. You can't just go get grand jury transcripts and see what happened in there. And they know that now, and they're doing it. So this is an attorney who used to actually do indictments, actually used to prosecute people, telling the prosecutors how to do their jobs correctly, and they just throw them out of the room and do whatever they want to anyways. It's sick.
When I met with Michael Cohen on the first day at the Regency Hotel when he was suicidal by his own admission, I explained to him non-disclosure agreements, NDAs as he was calling them, I said are perfectly legal, because he kept on saying, why are they trying to put me in jail for an NDA? And I explained to him, that's not why they're trying to put you in jail.
Great question, Michael.
Obviously, they think you've done other things. What are they? He denied having done anything else. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm cooperating with the special counsel. I'm cooperating with Congress. Of course, he forgot to tell us that he lied to Congress. But he was desperately seeking, according to his own words, an escape route. I want you guys to tell me how I can get out of this, because he saw these enormous legal problems coming his way. They were so bad in his mind that he was willing to kill himself. And so I kept on going back and suggesting to him, listen, Michael, if you have something truthful on Donald Trump, now is the time to cooperate. And he kept on saying over and over again, 10 to 20 times, I swear to God, Bob, I don't have anything on Donald Trump. I even said to him, Michael, think about this. Isn't it easier to cooperate against Donald Trump if you have truthful information than it is to kill yourself? Well, the answer is obvious. That was his moment in time. If he had something truthful to say, I'm willing to cooperate.
And this is legit, right? This is a defense attorney who's actually doing their job. It's like, I'm dedicated to you and you alone. I don't care about Trump. I don't care about anybody else. I know he's your friend, right? You have this conversation with your drug clients. I know he's your friend, but you're going to go to prison for 10 years for your friend? You're going to just give him up. That's your interest. Now, I don't want to do it. Okay, fine. Then we present other options, right? So this is normal. This sounds absolutely credible. Every defense attorney has had this conversation with their client. And Cohen, as we know, he was suicidal. That's how bad this was. If he had anything to save himself, you think he'd have it? Of course, he'd say it.
But he didn't take that. He kept on saying, I have nothing on Donald Trump. And then when we got into the discussion of the Stormy Daniels NDA, he said specifically, and I cross-examined him on this was my idea. It was his idea to take care of the NDA because he had been contacted by a lawyer for Stormy Daniels who said she was going to claim that Donald Trump had sex with her. Cohen said, I didn't believe the allegation, but nevertheless, it would be embarrassing to Melania. That's Michael Cohen's words.
Wow, not
he
the
said,
election.
And so I decided to take care of this myself. Now, he took out a home equity loan for $130,000 and used that. And he did tell us that he got repaid later. We didn't get into the details of that because that was not what we were focused on at the moment. We were trying to figure out what was Michael Cohen going to be charged with by the Southern District of New York. And then, as you know, ultimately, he pled guilty to 8 counts, 7 of which had nothing to do with Donald Trump. And then after that, he attempted to cooperate by telling fibs to the U.S. Attorney's Office that Rudy Giuliani and I conspired basically to obstruct justice and tamper with a witness, the witness being Michael Cohen. With all these emails and text messages that I had, it was absolutely clear that there was no truth whatsoever to that. So the U.S. Attorney said to Michael Cohen, in order for us to investigate this, you have to waive the attorney-client privilege. And that's what he did. Right. And when they called me up and presented me with the waiver, I then gave them the documents they requested.
And they
I went down and I was interviewed for a couple of hours with 2 AUSAs and 2 FBI agents. At the end of that interview, everybody was laughing because I showed how ludicrous the accusation was. And they being the Southern District of New York, never used Michael Cohen again. They didn't indict Donald Trump for anything, and they never used Michael Cohen, and they didn't give him any credit for his cooperation. That's a lesson that the Manhattan DA's office should have learned, but they haven't learned it yet.
One of the things I thought.
So very, very just amazing testimony. And I think that sounds exactly right. It matches with everything else we know. Why did the SDNY look into this? Well, because they wanted to go get Trump. So Michael Cohen brought them what he thought was a silver platter to get leverage. And they think, perfect, we got our guy. They look at it, it's a joke. They know Michael Cohen's a joke. They decline this case. Alvin Bragg knows it's a joke. He declines the case. It's not until Biden's prosecutor, Matthew Colangelo, comes out and then reinstitutes this entire case. So it is a disaster. Now, we don't know if Robert Costello will be testifying. Some great questions have come up. Can we just kind of copy and paste his testimony from Congress and bring it back in against Michael Cohen? And the answer is generally on that is no, unless there's some other reason why he can't come in. But it's extrinsic evidence. So the judge, Merchan, would not allow that to come in. We want people to come into court. Really, the thesis is so that they can be subject to cross-examination, so that the government has an opportunity to respond to Costello and to say, well, isn't it true this, and this, and hit him from the other side. If you only brought in his congressional testimony, it would not be subject to cross, and so it doesn't have good reliability. We want both sides to have a fair shake at the witnesses, which is why we have hearsay problems, which is why we keep stuff out on hearsay as well. So very interesting. There might be some risk to bringing Costello in. Maybe he knows some other things that might not look good for Trump. There was a little hint of that there, saying, well, I know Cohen ultimately got paid back for that. And what does that mean? What do you mean about that? I don't know many details about that, but Cohen got compensated for that. Is that a bad, fact for Trump? Maybe they don't want to bring that in to say that there was some knowledge that this happened and they paid it back. We'll see. So great testimony from Robert Costello. It just shows how bad this entire case is. And I still have my doubts about a jury acquitting Trump. It's a New York jury after all. It's New York. So, but that, I think the likelihood of that happening is very low. But mistrial, or if these other lawyers are looking at this case and they're watching the star witness be a liar, come on, guys. You swore oaths too, you lawyers on that jury panel. So we'll see what they do. But we're going to be here continuing to cover this, of course, my friends. Cohen will be back on the stand for cross-examination on Monday. We'll be here covering it. So thank you for subscribing. Thanks for joining us as we go through this wild journey. I don't think we'll probably go through anything like this ever again in American history. It's a wild time. So we're grateful to have you here with us. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting a friend or family member to come on over here and join us as we cover this case and many more. We got some great links down in the description below. Would love to see you come join us at watchingthewatchers.locals.com, our members-only community. We do members-only streams, and we have an amazing group of extremely good-looking people over there. We'd love to have you come join us because you belong there. Watchingthewatchers.locals.com. We'll see you over there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it on the day. Another good day of testimony. Michael Cohen is even worse than I think they expected. CNN is saying, yikes. Directed verdict. Yeah, directed verdict is another good possibility. Well, the defense would move for a directed verdict for a judgment of acquittal, basically. And then the judge would deny that. But I think they'll probably do that anyways. And they'll mark that down for an appeal. And they'll make some motion like that, and then they'll mark that down for an appeal. But the judge will probably deny it immediately, and then they'll proceed to the jury decision. So great update today, my friends. Thank you so much for joining us. Let us hear from you. Let's see what you say about this. We got some very generous and very insightful donos that have come in. What's up, Ty Bivens? Is our newest supporter on the YouTubes. Great to see you, Ty Biven, in the house. What's up, Doris V? Another shout out member. Welcome aboard, Doris V. Great to have you. We'll see you in the morning. We got Milo Phone Bill. Says Biden scheming along. The court cases are collapsing. What to do next? Biden says act tough and propose a fight out back. A debate. Here is the meme. It says it looks like Trump is getting past all the court dates we set up for him. Maybe I can challenge him to a debate and have all the answers on a teleprompter. I'm not sure if that's going to help. Poor Joe. He's trying to scheme his way into the presidency again. We'll see if they're successful. Good to see you, Milo. Thank you for that one. We got Tony Hay Munkets bringing in 10 new membos. What's up, Tony? Muffin Randos, a membo. We got Janine S., Scott P., JB's here, Lamont S., Daisy Girl, Glenn C., Schechter, Barbara Joe, and Melody in the house, courtesy of our friend Tony Hay Munkets. Hey, it is the Munkets. What's going on? We've got this one from Miche. Says, I'm so excited. I got my diamond badge today, and I have to show it off. Good to see you, Misha. That's 1 year on Locals. Babe, that's just so amazing. A baby and then some. Diamond on the Locals. Great to see you. Miche, 67 in the house. Grateful to have you for a full year. And it's been a doozy. We're just getting started. Ravicus says, all right, hello, everyone. I want to ask for help for Rick Becker, congressional candidate from North Dakota. He's been targeted by dark forces, the deep state establishment. They do not want him elected. North Dakota is not immune to corruption, which Rick has fought tirelessly. You can donate here if you wish to, and I hope you do. RickBecker2024.com. The endorsement from Ravicus. And Ron Paul endorses him? It's a heck of an endorsement. Shout out to Ron Paul. What's up? Tara in the house says, my son has been found safe. Thank you for all the prayers. Wow. That's great news. Whew. Yeah, that sounds like a scary ordeal. We've had that before. One time, Joey, when he was a young man, well, I'll tell that story another day. Joey, and he just kind of, I know how that goes. What's up, Tara? Good to see you. My son has been found safe. Thank you for the prayers. Thanks for the update, Tara. Glad he's back. What's up, Georgia? Georgia Van H in the house. Welcome aboard, Georgia. Great to have you as our newest member. We got Rain is here. Says, can the defense bring in Costello's congressional testimony into evidence or even call him as a witness? Second one, yes. First one, no. First one, the judge would say, no, can't bring that in. Otherwise, everybody would do that. Everybody would just bring in documents or even call him as a witness. Now, that I think is more likely unless it's already been litigated, or I don't know if he was disclosed as a witness, if the defense already noticed that they might call him, or if the defense is just not, again, if the burden is on the government, if they don't check the boxes, you don't have to present a dang thing. We'll see what they do. What's up? Ty Bivens says, I now hear your voice giving commentary anytime I read anything. I like pie. Well, pie can be pretty good. Not every pie. There's some strange pies out there. Like somebody, like a rhubarb pie, for example. Could anybody explain exactly what that is? I still don't have a good answer on that one. But, some people really love that stuff. What's up, Rain? Says, Klassfeld mentioned the opening sidebar was the judge accusing Blanche about making the cross about himself. Whoa! When he quoted Cohen calling Blanche a little S-word yesterday. That's interesting. So that's what the sidebar was about, huh? Judge is like, can we make this a little less aggressive, please? Interesting. Yeah, we'll see if that shows up on the transcripts, huh? Lou M, what's up? Says Orange Man Rad. So got this. Sunglasses. So got this. Good to see you, Lou. What's up, Lenny Malley? Says 1.5K likes, baby. Smash that like button. Please like and subscribe and share on all social media platforms. And God bless you all. Thank you, Lenny, for the reminder and for being a good membo. It's a great reminder. And God bless you back, Lenny. We got Voice of the People says, if you don't smash that like button, you like Angeron's areolas, Letitia James's rotten feet, and E. Jean Carroll's cat, which might be painted blue. Don't know. Have fun with that. That's all true. If you don't hit the like button, it's definitely one of those things. Might be all three. And that's just not good. What's up? Thank you, Voice, for the good one. Robert G is our new supporter. Welcome aboard, Robert G in the house. Love that. Tony Hay Munkett says, I heard today that Big Fanny got kicked off the Trump case. Is that true? Not that I've seen. I don't think so. Not that I've seen. I mean, I could, unless it just happened. You might be right about that, Tony, but I don't know if Fanny's going anywhere. I have my doubts. And does that pretty much mean the case is over? Yeah. Okay, rhubarb pie. This is from Kyle C. What's up? He says, rhubarb pie is made from the stalks. The leaves are toxic of rhubarb. A lot of sugar and jellied as a filling. Rather tart, not my favorite. Exactly, yeah. So I really still don't know what it is. I mean, it comes from a rhubarb. From the stalk. I don't know what a rhubarb is, though. Anyone know what a rhubarb is? You walk around, there's just rhubarbs somewhere out there? I think it's fake, whatever it is. It's fake. It's like tofu, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is either. What's up? Chubby Stubby's in the house. Says, I'm hopeful there's someone somewhere that is keeping a tally of all the objections and rulings as well as the breaks being called during cross. Yeah, those were pretty good breaks today. And I don't know if there was better times for those breaks, but man, they were right in the middle of the momentum. What's up? Sure would be interesting to see just how skewed the judge's calls have been. From the transcripts, it's pretty clear. He's trying to influence the trial, not fairly and equally adjudicate it. I agree completely. Yeah, the judge is biased. You can feel it. He donates to Joe Biden. His daughter works for Democrats. He's gagging Trump from commenting about his daughter who works for the Democrats. It's wild. But it's also confirmed in the transcripts. And it would be fun to see that, like a sports analysis, if you just had like, ding, objection for the defense, objection for the, what do the numbers look like? What's up? We got Thomas W's here. Says, will Trump's lawyers request another recusal of the judge now that it's known that Goldman was preparing Cohen with him being a client of his daughter? No, I don't think so. I mean, this judge feels very secure. He got an opinion from the ethics board, the judicial people. They said, you're great. Your daughter can work for whatever. We don't care. Have fun. So he feels good. I don't think he's inclined to go anywhere at all. Voice, and thank you for that one, Thomas. We got this from Voice of the People says, yes, to Tony Hay. She was removed. The case is still active. What? Fanny's gone? That's two people talking about Fanny? When did this happen? I was at a seminar all day. So the appeal was approved. So the appeal to remove Fanny was definitely approved, but I don't think that she was removed. There are multiple investigations. I'm doing a quick scroll. She's being investigated by senators now. Interesting. All right, very interesting. So a lot happening in Fanny land. We'll have to maybe have an update on that tomorrow since we're not in trial. What's up, Elizabeth C. in the house? Welcome aboard, Elizabeth. Thanks for becoming a supporter and supporting us. We've got this from Just Rhonda's here. Says Mike H is coming in. Welcome aboard, Mike. Donna G, Gail G, GMS, and HPK in the house, courtesy of Just Rhonda, bringing in 5 new members. Thank you, Rhonda. One Witness, sending in a cup of coffee. Thank you, One Witness. Thanks for joining us and for the lovely support. Hey, it's the Munkets is here, bringing in 10 members. What's up, Tony? Hey, we got Scott L's coming in. JMS, Eric's here. Dale D, Poppy, Sarah, Marcia J, Jake D, Bourne's here, and Lisa, all gifted members, courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. Jennifer says Tony Hay Munkets wants a 1-year member-only live stream sometime in the future. Rob, what do you think? I don't think I can do that on YouTube, but that's an interesting idea. So there's different levels on YouTube, so I can do different streams based on the different levels if I were to do something like that, but I don't think I can like filter out all the newbies. Like a veterans chat or something. That's a pretty interesting idea. Very interesting idea. I like it, Jennifer. I like it. We got this one from Glocky. Says, the purge has started in YouTube for the election. Wow. So I've noticed this, by the way. My account is getting eyeballs. I can feel it. I'm getting like these unusual warnings, and some of the Stormy Daniels stuff they removed ads from. So they're like manually, everything's clear, and then somebody's going back and clicking stuff off on the back end. I can see it happening. So yes, over 30,000 accounts have been nuked so far based on disinformation. Buckle up. The fascists are doing whatever it takes to drag their dear leader across the finish line. Yeah, so that's why we're grateful to our friends who, even if you don't sign up as a member on Locals, you at least just create an account on Locals or follow us on Rumble, which is where we're also live streaming now, so that we have a backup plan, because who knows what's going on. I've noticed it. It feels like somebody's trolling my YouTube account for a violation. It feels like that. I'm like waiting for it. YouTube censor punks talking to you. What's up? Glocky's here. You could save 30% or more by switching back to Trump. Just call. It takes 15 minutes or less to go into your polling booth, okay? 15 minutes or less could save you your entire country. Sheesh, not complicated. Hey, Glocky says, this is an interesting one. The virus is the media. Yeah, it's a little, okay. Yeah, here we'll post it. The virus is the media. The media is the virus. Ooh, that's a spicy one. We got this one from Glocky says, guess who will still be your friend no matter who you vote for? Not me, because I'm not friends with communists. Get a brain. Thanks. What's up, Sheila P? Suzanne B is here. Law 1964 is coming in. We got the old bag. Sup Forrest G. Rory M all coming in courtesy of Sheila P, bringing in 5 new members. Great to see you, Sheila. Thanks for bringing in new members. Charlie K. What's up, Charlie? Welcome aboard. Thanks for becoming a member, supporting us. We'll see you on the morning stream tomorrow. Better Ask Matt says, Cohen was cut so badly, he'll be singing soprano. Get it? What's up? Tree Climber in the house. Gifted 1 membo to Wayward One from Tree Climber. Thanks for bringing in new membos and being a membo, Tree Climber. Great to have you. Trevelyan Gale says Michael Cohen and Terrence Bradley, they're graduates of the same college. Odor of mendacity. Yeah, they went to OM together, and they graduated in TC. They got their TC degrees. Totally corrupt. All right, what's up? Pinochet. Moscow rule number 1. Assume nothing. But would it be safe to say that Dan Goldman coached Cohen to suborn perjury? Sounds like it. Even Anderson Cooper said he lied on the stand. I can assume that suborning perjury is not considered part of Dan's congressional duty, so maybe he's not somebody who has immunity. I see what you're saying, Pinochet. Yeah, I'm for Dan Goldman for prison, for sure. What's up, Miss Ree? In the house. Thank you, Miss Ree. Says hi with the Shibu. Good to see you, Miss Ree. Thank you for that. Thanks for being a membo and for joining us and supporting us here on the day. We got Rosie Posey. Says, I don't believe the suicidal thing about Michael Cohen. If he really wanted to do something like that, he probably wouldn't be advertising it to his attorney. Yeah, and this is something that clients do say. I've had clients tell me that too. Like, if I don't get this dismissed, my life's over, I'm going to die. It's like, all right, you're not going to die, okay? Like, I know it sounds like this is stressful, but let's talk this through. Okay, it's a urinating in public case. You're not even going to go to jail. Calm down. My life's over. Relax. Just being dramatic to get more attention. And I think honestly, some people think that if they tell their lawyers that, it'll make their lawyers work harder or something. It's like, well, I'll kill myself if you don't get me dismissed. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to work hard for you either way. Like, if you're dead, if you're dead, your case will be dismissed for sure. They'll just dismiss it. We'll just give them a certificate of your death and they'll just dismiss it. He sounds like a narcissist through and through, where it's everyone else's fault, he's the victim, etc. And he might have been having a breakdown. You get raided. You have the police come in and raid you. It's a traumatic experience. I fortunately have not had that happen, but I've talked to many people in the immediate aftermath of it, and it's a horrific thing. I mean, it's shocking. What's up? Milo, phone bill, says, Michael, don't jump. Don't jump. Oh, that's a good one. Very apropos. Don't jump from Joe. He says that all the time. Jim R, what's up? 9 months as a membo. Wow. Good to see you, Jim. Thanks for being 9 months as a membo. That's a full baby. We got Jesus Rob says, how can I ever trust the courts again? Sad. Yeah, you may not. In fact, you may not. It's going to be hard to do that, especially certain jurisdictions. You ever going to believe a New York case is legitimate ever again? Ever. No matter who's guilty. Even like Weinstein and those guys. It's like, okay, Weinstein got convicted there. Probably a piece of work. But did they do a good job convicting him? No, because they're corrupt. So it's a disservice to justice in America. Sad state of affairs. But the Democrats are the ones encouraging it. They use Trump as an excuse to wreck their own justice system. It's kind of a strange thing. It really is kind of a suicidal ideology. Dr. N, what's up? Welcome aboard as a new membo. Great to see you. Dr. Nick2 in the house as our newest supporter. Welcome aboard, Doc. We got Mr. Magic Man. Says, why can't Costello be brought in as a rebuttal witness to Cohen's testimony? I don't know. I can't think of a good reason. I think he could. I think there might be some concern that he might say something that's bad, and I don't know what that would be. The only hint that I got of that was at the end of that last segment when he was explaining that Cohen did get paid. I didn't know the specifics about it, but Cohen did get paid. And if they're trying to show that maybe there was, I don't know, maybe the prosecutors can try to parlay that into something of knowledge of a transaction. But I don't even think Trump is disputing the knowledge of the transaction. He's disputing the intentionality behind falsifying business records, which is obviously not something that he was involved in at all. If it is even a false business record, I don't even know what it's supposed to be, or what specific part of the facts here that are actually illegal. We haven't seen it. So as far as I can tell, no reason. Bad Poet says, so Schiff connected the judge with Bragg and Goldman, coached or something, with Cohen's probably Stormy too. The way both their testimonies slanted the narrative to the reporters, they tried to spin it, but flopped. Yeah, I think it was a spaghetti on the wall prosecution, throwing whatever they could out there to stick. Judge Merchan gave them 3 options to see if they could get something out there. They had to change their strategy because they dropped Droopy McDougal. She didn't come in and testify. So their case is on life support. What's up? NY says, How can Costello be plausibly limited as a witness because of notice when the prosecution wasn't even disclosing its witness list till the final day? Well, I think they may have been disclosing the witness list, but not the witness order. So you can say, hey, these are 50 people we might call, but they're not telling who they're calling until the day of, because they're saying Trump's going to make a statement about it or something. So I think they knew the general pool, but just not who was coming, because Trump might say something bad, even though there's a gag order. So it was just rigged. That's all it was. And also, I agree with that because there was a part where they were going to consider bringing in Weisselberg. And they said, well, the judge said, well, you know that they might have called Weisselberg. And Blanche said, well, he's not on the witness list. And the judge says, I don't care. You should have known that he might have been called anyways. So if the judge was about to give them the benefit on that one, why would he not give the same benefit to the defense? We know, because he's corrupt. What's up? Last of Yahoos says, thanks for the coverage. Had a 9-mile, 2-hour treadmill session. Yes. Yes. Have been listening on the deck. Good job, buddy. Smashing like now. Thank you, Last of Yahoos. Hopefully you had a great session on the treadmill. 2 hours, 9 miles. That's good. How many steps is that? Like 15,000 maybe? 15,000 steps maybe on your thing? More than that? It might be more than that. Maybe 2? That's a lot. 2 hours of walking is a lot. Been listening on the deck. Congrats, man. I love that. I love when you get a good session, you get a good audio in, you get a good audio book, you get a good podcast in. Really honored and humbled to be with you on that journey. And great job on that. I think I'm going to get some walking in today myself. What's up? Scott D in the house, new supporter. Glad to have you, Scott. Thanks for joining us, my friend. We got Helo's here, also a new supporter. Welcome aboard, Helo 0931. Glad to have you. We got Eddie Van Zant, I think from the great state of Texas. Says Sergeant Daniel Perry was formally pardoned today in Texas. Yeah, that was great news. I saw that from Greg Abbott. The Antifa AK shooting in Austin during the 2020 Summer of Love. Yeah, he was in his car. He was kind of getting railed on. He shot someone. I swear in as mayor next week. Wow, Eddie is going to be the mayor in Texas. You will have to call me honorable. We will. We'll be happy to do that, Eddie. And I won't even make that weird sound when we have to say the honorable Merrick Garland. I won't even do that. We got Mexican Marauders in the house. Says, Cohen thought he could buy a spot in the admin, but he pissed off Trump because by paying it was an admission while denying was better. Such a moron. Yeah, he was trying to create a problem to fix a problem so that he could be, I guess, appointed the attorney general. And everybody commented on that. Good to see you, Mexican Marauder. Hey, Dolphin Fan is the man, is bringing in 20 amazing new membos. Look who's here. G. Erickson. G. Ricketson is in the house. Ricketson is in the house. We got Golden G saying what's up. Proxy Loxy, John Daly, Catherine, Benjamin L. Presidential astronomers here. We got James P. Bill C. Saya Freeze here. Muffin Rando, what's up? Meredith Jane, John Lucas. We got Donald Y. S.I. Sixth Nova. Tony Hay Munkets, what's up? Miko Star, Darlene, Huala Tala Chick is here. Cheryl Lynn, Jackie P. Seaman, and Tamara Brown, all gifted membos, courtesy of Dolphin Fan, is the man in the house. Thank you, Dolphin. Hey, what's up? Voice of the People says, you're right, my bad. The appeal was approved. She's not done just yet. Sorry. No, it's all good. It's confusing. We're figuring it out together. We're all learning in public together. So yeah, the appeal was approved. I know that it was just the notice of appeal that was filed. We're still waiting for the appellate memo to come out, and that's going to be a doozy to read through. And we're ready for that one. What's up? Last of Yahoo says, Good Logic, a.k.a. Joe, who is right next door on YouTube and on Rumble and on Locals, says the petitioner to engage Trump has a great dramatic reading of Stormy Daniels' testimony on his channel. Hilarious VOD. Highly recommend. Yes, so Good Logic has been doing multi-person reads on his channel. So yeah, I kind of read all the parts here, but Good Logic has other people read the various parts there. And it's a great idea. So I send you over there to Good Logic. He's right next door to get the full transcript with a very great reading from some talented folks over there. What's up? Pinochet's helicopter tour says, at first they came for the communists, but I did not speak because I was refueling my helicopter. And who cares about the communists? What's up? Flash River says, I don't know, Rob. If they brought Costello in, as talented as he is, he would show cause to indict the prosecutors. Yeah. Yeah, so he'll as he would show cause to indict the persecutors. Good to see you, Flash. They don't want to get indicted. And Fred says 9 miles is about 19,900 steps. And that's steps, not feet. So 5,280 feet per mile, 9 miles. So you do that. So 9 times the 520 divided by what? 3 to get a yard is a step. Is that about the number? Yeah, 9 miles. Yeah, I think 5 is about 10. 5,000 is about 10 about 10,000 steps. Is that about right? Yeah, it's a lot. So it's a lot of walking, man. It's good stuff. What's up, former Costello for Attorney General? Costello for Attorney General. How would that make Michael Cohen feel? That'd be great. Sorry, Michael, you're not the Attorney General. Your ex-lawyer was. Oh, Cohen will not be happy about that. All right, my friends, let's say hello. First of all, thank you so much for those great comments. Your amazing support. Couldn't do it without you. Let's say hello to our friends on X before we call it a day and wrap it up and go on over to Locals for our Locals members only after party. Who's joining us on X? Let's see. Oh yeah, there was some floating wieners out there on, I'm not going to post that one, but there were some floating Jack Smith balloons that were floating male genitals all over New York. I'm not making that up. It's on X. I'm not going to post it here, but of course it's happening. I'm not joking. Somebody released a bunch of balloons. I think it was Scott Lobato who did that. I think. I'm not positive. What's up? Fred is here. Fred Pedamonte says Chuck Grassley and Ron Johnson just went after Fannie Willis today. Joan says rhubarb is a real plant. Yeah, right. Come on. You make pies and jellies with it. And yes, it is tart. Joan, are you pulling our leg here? I think you might be pulling our leg. Rhubarb. Get out of here. It's from Dr. Seuss, isn't it? Lynn is here. Listening to Trump's lawyers and reading here was the most fun we've had all day. Good to have you. What's up, Lynn? Thanks for joining us. It's fun to read it. It's fun. It's wild times. Hey, best podcast of the day. What's up? WECU News. We've got the floating genitals all over New York. And it's a real thing. Yeah, it's a real thing. So you have to go on the X feed to see it. Feline Fun says, I'll let you know when I'm finished. Don't interrupt me again, Costello. Right? I know. Hey, you don't get to... We're done with your... I'll tell you, Mr. Prosecutor. Quiet down. What's up, Irene? Thank you for that. Watching from Texas from Crypto Nerd. Raven Madness is in the house. What's up, Shake? Says, yeah, long sidebar looking around here. Wonder if that gum is still under my seat. USA Patriots in the house. Says, hopeful for jurors with consciences. And Charles says, yeah, the court system is bad. Egregious darkly. Some great comments on X today. What's up, Anthony? Says the prosecution knew full well about the text messages with Schiller, and it was likely their idea to plow ahead anyways. Change my mind. Great to see everybody. Liar, liar, pants on fire. That goes out to Cohen from the rooftop. Great comments on X. And of course, if you want to follow us over there, follow Inner City Press and everybody else on the X. That's where we're at. Rob Govea, ESQ. And it's great to follow each other out there in the X wilderness. But my friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. Before we wrap it up, we want to remind you about our amazing mods and our meme smiths who help keep this show on track and keep things nice and orderly around here. Our friends, K Bean in the house. We got Just Cause, Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, Zach Nichols, Janek, Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me. We got Carrie B and our meme smiths. Elliot, our Doc Master, Glocky McGlock, Geegum Geegum, Nathan N810, and Sleepy Dog Lee, all in the house. My friends, that is going to be it for us on the day. We are going to come back here tomorrow, and it's going to be at the same time. We're not going to be in trial, but we'll see what else is cooking. We'll take a look at what's happening with Fannieland. Maybe there'll be some more filings in Florida. Who knows? But only time will tell. And we are going to be back here to get into it again. And in order to do that, well, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. See you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.